Hey gang, it's Platt, and today we're going to review another home brewing kit. We're going to review the Mangrove Jack's Craft Series Apple Cider Kit. So let's go. So if you've been a regular follower of the channel, you know I love craft beer kits, trying all different kind of kits, and I'm always looking out for them. The other day I was in my homebrew shop and I saw this pouch. And at first I thought this was a flavoring pouch or just a pouch of juice. But upon further review, this is Mangrove Jack's Craft Series Apple Cider, kind of all-in-one or almost all-in-one kit. Mangrove Jack has several of these cider kits, different flavors. My homebrew shop had like a peach one and then a peach apple or a peach strawberry, something like that. 2 or 3 flavors. They also sell beer brewing kits, or they're beer brewing in these pouches too. Now these pouches, like I said, are almost all-in-one kits. They come with a concentrated juice. Inside there's another pouch with the yeast you'll need. They have a sweetener in there, and then something called a cider essence that gets added later on. One thing you don't have, well, obviously you don't have all the brewing equipment, fermenter buckets, stuff like that. Mangrove Jack's does sell on their website sanitizer you would use. They also sell carbonation tabs for when you bottle your product. And the one thing you'll need with this recipe is 1 kilogram or 2.2 pounds of dextrose. Dextrose is just a kind of fancied up term for sugar. Again, Mangrove Jack sells this dextrose, and you'll see dextrose in your homebrew shop. Like it's just a really fancy word for sugar. So I'm just going to use 2.2 pounds of some sugar I have left over. You could do the same. It's really not going to affect the flavor too much. Not to get too technical, but there's various forms of sugar. There's glucose and fructose, or whatever. Dextrose is a different sub-sugar, for lack of a better term. But table sugar will be fine for this experiment. So now that we got everything out, and I've got everything sanitized, let's use this Mangrove Jack kit to make some apple cider. Alright, so we got everything set up we need to make our craft cider. I've got everything sanitized, or sanitation bucket or spoon, airlock, stuff like that. If you're new to home brewing and not sure about home brewing sanitation, I'll leave a link up here to a sanitation video I did about sanitation and home brewing. Give you just some quick pointers. I've got 3 quarts of water coming up to a boil. We'll need that for a couple purposes: A, sanitation, and B, it's going to help us to add in our sugar. I went ahead and measured out our 1 kilogram, or roughly 2.2 pounds of sugar. And then we got our craft brew kit, which I need to finish cutting open. Let's see what we got in there. As you can see, I kind of mangled the package already. Get some tough scissors. I try to use regular scissors. They just didn't seem to do the job, so other scissors. Now we're going to try a knife. We cut through the pouch. This is not working as easy as I thought it would. Alright, there we go. Alright, so you can't really tell. One side of the patch, this side, is pure concentrate. It smells kind of reminds me a little of like the apple juice concentrate you would buy in a grocery store. And then this other patch there we go, on the other side contains our apple cider flavoring. This will not be added till after primary fermentation, around 7 days. We've got our sweetener. It says if you want it dry, do not add the sweetener. Half the sweetener if you want it off dry, and then sweet, add the full pack. We're just going to add the full pack. Here's our pack of cider yeast. And then further down is the full instructions. If for whatever reason you don't find them, or you don't find the instructions, or you want another copy, you can go onto their website and they will have copies. So we've got all our stuff out, and now we're going to add the pouch into our empty fermentation bucket. You want to give this a squeeze, make sure we get all the sticky stuff out. Perfect timing because it looks like we're about to come to a boil here. Now, one thing I want to point out right now is Mangrove Jacks is a New Zealand-based company, and a lot like the brothers in Australia, New Zealand, and even over in Europe, when you buy some of these beer kits, their standard home recipes are generally 6 gallons, where here in the U.S. ours are generally 5. This particular fermentation bucket I got is a 6.5 gallon bucket, but it's for 5 gallon batches. You always want to leave some head space. Overseas, they generally sell 8 gallon fermenters for 6 gallon batches. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to do a 5 gallon batch. It's going to be more concentrated, and we'll go into later when I do a gravity reading how that'll affect that. So anyway, got all our juice in, and now we're going to turn off our boiling water. And you want to be careful of this. We're going to add it in. Now, because it's boiling, it's going to help sanitize that solution that's in there. If something happens for whatever reason to that, we've already sanitized it. And then we're going to go ahead and add in our sugar here. And with our sanitized spoon, we're going to stir in the sugar, get everything mixed in. I wish you could smell it because it smells real nice. Alright. So from here, we've got, I think, a little over a gallon of liquid, not quite 2 gallons of liquid already. We're going to top off to the 5 gallon mark with cold water. That's going to bring down the temperature, and that will allow us to get it to the proper temperature for yeast. What we're shooting for is from the mid-60s up to about 80 degrees, roughly room temperature. So let me get this cooled down, and then we'll come back, do a gravity reading, and discuss the process from there. Alright, so I went ahead and added the cold water up to the 5 gallon mark and got our temperature down to a little below 80. Went ahead and threw in my full pouch of the sweetener. Just to review, there's a little sweetener packet. I got a feeling this is a non-fermentable sweetener. Maybe it's like a sativa or something like, or stevia, wrong term. Stevia or something like that, but it was a non-fermentable sweetener that you add in, and depending on how sweet you want it, if you want a dry cider, don't add any at all. If you want it slightly sweet, about half the pack. We went ahead and put the full pack on because people that are going to be drinking it want sweet cider. People that are going to be drinking this will want a sweet cider, so I went ahead and pulled full packet in. Then I went ahead and put in the full packet of cider yeast. Put in the full thing. We're doing a full batch, what have you. And then this, the apple cider flavoring, or apple cider essence, as it says in the instructions, we are going to wait until primary fermentation is done. Now let me kind of talk you through what we've already done and what's going on in the future. We took our pouch, cut it open. We took out, and one of the sub pouches was all the instructions and our flavoring packets, whatever. The other side was our concentrate that we dumped into our sanitized fermenter. We added 3 quarts of boiling water. We had our 1 kilogram of sugar, and then we topped off with cold water and brought our, as we refer to it in beer, our wort down, or our fermentable liquid, down to a proper temperature. Added our sweetener and our yeast packet, and now we're going to let this sit. Now what they suggest in the instructions, and it's kind of confusing to me, but I see where they're going with this, is they want you to do a gravity reading before you start fermentation, which makes sense. If you're brewing any kind of home brew beers or whatever, you'll want to do a starting gravity reading, and then after fermentation, you want to do a finishing gravity, and those 2 readings will get you the ABA, or alcohol, ABV, the alcohol by volume. On the website itself, they give a chart of what the target finishing gravity on these different beers should be. For this cider, suggests it should be 1.002. What they don't have in the instructions and what they don't have on the website is kind of the target starting gravity. And why that matters is, if you're making a recipe, and let's say you tweak it a little bit, or this, that, and the other, or just never done before, that starting gravity is kind of important because it lets you know if you did the process right. And here, it's important because we kind of altered the plan. Like I said, this kit is built for 6-gallon batches. I've got only a slightly over, or about 6.5 gallon fermenter. So I need to do a 5-gallon batch. So that's what I did. I just added less water, which means my starting gravity should be a little bit higher, and my potential ABV should be higher than what's on the kit. The kit itself on the back said 5.2 is your goal. Well, I did a starting gravity, and we came out at 1.050. If we hit our target ending gravity of 1.002, then our ABV should really be more like 6.2, 6.3. But if, like I said, unfortunately, they don't have that starting number, so I don't know how off we were from original, or if I really, skewed too much. But that does make sense that our gravity reading should give us a little higher alcohol content because we did a little smaller batch. What they want you to do is let this ferment for 6 days. After the 6th day, they want you to start doing the final gravity reading. And once you get to 1.002 or somewhere around, then you know you've pretty much completed fermentation. From there, I believe they ask you to go ahead and bottle. And then allow the bottles to sit for roughly 5 days at room temperature, and then maybe a few days in the refrigerator. All in total, they want about 2 weeks. 1 week, roughly 1 week in this primary and 1 week in the bottle. I would strongly suggest you might let this go for 10 days in the fermenter. But if you get to that 1.002 range, then you're fine. You can stop whenever. But I do encourage you to give another week or 2 in the bottle. Let it sit, let it lager a little bit. This is nothing you need to wait 4 or 5 months for. But give it an extra week or 2. All these homebrew kits, they're trying to make it fast for you. I always suggest adding an extra week or 2 in the bottle, conditioning, or lagering phase. With that being said, this is an easy kit, real quick. If you're new to home brewing, I suggest this style of kit because it's just that easy. I got very little cleanup to do. If it wasn't for the filming part, I'd probably been done in under 20 minutes or so. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the videos because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. Well, until next time, bottoms up.